With the first volume of Cabinet of Curiosities being complete and the anthology quite literally containing multiple different stories that touched on different topics, different styles, and leaving us as the audience feeling something different with each of them, I thought I'd rank the 8 episodes that we received from worst to best and give my reasons for doing so. So let's get into it. Here is Cabinet of Curiosities every episode ranked. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Number 8. Dreams in the Witch House. Coming in last place on this ranking is episode 7 of the anthology. Whilst I thought the concept and story was relatively fleshed out and present, there just wasn't enough to enable me to grasp onto it. I felt like it needed a slightly longer runtime, and I personally feel that the acting in this episode was noticeably at a lower quality when compared to the others. I liked the story of somebody being stuck in the forest of lost souls as they're too afraid to pass over to the other side, and also the death of somebody preventing someone from living their life. But for me, this one just fell short. The set design was good, and Jenkins and Keziah Mason's design was really haunting and eerie, but that's not enough to put it out of last place. Number 7. The Murmuring. Coming in 7th place is the final episode of the anthology. It's almost here for the opposite reasons to Dreams in the Witch House. Andrew Lincoln and Essie Davis as Nancy and Edgar were delivered really well, especially the character of Nancy. You could feel the mourning that she felt and the grief that she couldn't let go of that was impacting her from living her life and being able to move forward with her husband. It was shot beautifully. It was glossy, clean, and had a really nice effect to it that allowed the natural surroundings such as the sky, sea, and green of the leaves to really pop. Whilst the story was touching and emotional, I would argue that the horror element felt like it was lacking slightly. I also found the connection between Nancy and the ghost mother to be a little too vague, leading the payoff and revelation at the end to feel a little forced and rushed, meaning that the pacing was there for 3/4 of the episode, only for the final 5 minutes to be rushed, whereas I feel like it could have been told over the space of 15 minutes and would have been far more rewarding. Number 6. Graveyard Rats. Coming in 6th place is the 2nd episode. I like this episode for a number of different reasons. I loved the commonality between Mr. Masson being fearful of rats but essentially being one himself in the way that he was acting. The darkness of the episode merged with the large rat creature that was burrowed beneath the ground, and also the full circle that it went in with the robbers at the start discovering Mr. Masson at the end. Whilst I would say that I did enjoy this episode, I would argue that there was nothing in this one that stood out for me when compared to the others that are above it in this list. It was just okay. Number 5. Lot 36. This was the first episode in the anthology, and whilst I've seen that it's not been many people's favourites, I would say that I thought this one was pretty decent. I liked the overall message of treating others as you would like to be treated, as it was Nick's own behaviour that meant that he ended up being claimed by the demon, as Amelia wouldn't open the door for him due to the way that he treated her earlier. The supernatural element was strong in this one, and the eeriness surrounding Lot 36, the seance table, the story of Dottie being missing, and Roland's eagerness to acquire the books was something that had me constantly watching, and wanting to see what was going to happen next. I thought the score was also something that worked quite well in this episode, and complemented it nicely, along with the green and grey grading that was connected to the episode. Number 4. The Viewing. The Viewing was an episode that I feel is one that people most certainly either love or hate. It's so far on the other end of the scale compared to the rest of the anthology that it could be its own standalone movie, and to be honest, it would have probably worked better as one with an elongated runtime. There was a lot that I really liked about this episode. I thought the cast was perfectly chosen. Each specialising in their field, we saw the actors embody the roles that they were given. The score, the grading, the set, and the style of the way that this film was shot, especially the fact that it was on film, gave a real 70s and 80s horror style feel to it. The art of conversation was key to this episode, and the way that Lionel lowered all of their guards and made them feel comfortable was something he did to us too. We as the audience were the 5th members that were invited to his house, and it was a real experience when watching. The monster at the end was so weird to look at, and despite not being scary, it definitely tied into the genre of true horror when the reveal happened, and I'm most certainly a fan of this one. Number 3. Pickman's Model. Pickman's Model was the one that I would say was most certainly the creepiest out of them all. focusing on artwork by Richard Pickman that would cause anybody that laid their eyes upon it to become possessed by the darkness and either mirror what the painting told or just simply take over the mind of the viewer was an extremely creative concept. The environment that this was set in, along with the delivery and execution, was convincing and believable. It contained everything that you needed for it to make you feel uncomfortable as a viewer. It was set in the early 20th century, contained a specific style of artwork that depicted dark activities, an element of witchcraft with Pickman's descendants, along with demons that came from another world. It genuinely had everything. The ending, though, was something that left me with my mouth open due to the extremity of William's wife gouging out her eyes and cooking their son, mirroring the feast that was told to us throughout the episode, and also being similar to the painting that they laid their eyes upon. Number 2. The Outside. The least horror in tone and tradition, but this was a slow burner where we saw the main character become the very thing that she didn't care about to start with and showed the susceptible nature that people have towards advertising and social environments due to wanting to fit in and feel comfortable, despite being perfectly fine. The almost cartoon nature of the set with the glossy Christmas colours along with the motif of Ode to Joy being on repeat placed us in an environment where it didn't seem like anything dark could happen. Kate Micucci was the perfect casting for this role as she delivered an outstanding performance. The decline of her character and the gradual descent into insanity as she killed her husband as she believed that this lotion would work was something that led you to question if it was real or not when the ending was shown to us, and I liked that, as it was up for interpretation. This was definitely one of my favourites, and I think it will stand the test of time, whereas I feel like some of the others won't. Number 1. The Autopsy. The episode that I believe is the best in the entire anthology was episode 3 of the show. What started as a real detective crime story, and it was shown to us like that with the initial tone, turned into the most supernatural, sinister, and dark out of them all. When incorporating alien species into media, it can often be difficult to do, but this episode did a great job at it. You could sense the confusion by Dr. Carl Winters as he was carrying out autopsies on the bodies, and when the creature possessing Eddie Sykes came out, it was a haunting sight. The symbolism of spiders throughout the entirety of the episode, with them representing death and Carl Winters having death lurking through the illness that he had, but also due to the fact that he had to make himself deaf, blind, and senseless at the end before rendering his body useless so that the creature wouldn't be able to survive, was haunting and uncomfortable to witness. But the fact that he outsmarted the alien was pure perfection. The darkness of this episode in terms of visual appearance with the low light from the room is something that sticks in my mind and is exactly how it is. Whilst not containing the largest cast, biggest names or extravagant set, this one showed its strength with the story that was being told to us, and that's why I believe it was the best out of the bunch. All of these episodes in the show provided something unique, different, and were told to us in a completely different way. I've covered all of the episodes over on my channel, so if you're looking for a more in-depth breakdown of each individual episode, then head over there where there's an entire playlist. So, there you have it. Cabinet of Curiosities, every episode ranked. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What's your ranking? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.